Hi guys, this is Vineet and I welcome you to this video. This is the part 10 of the video series Integration Services ETL project tutorial. So before we proceed ahead, I would request you guys to please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. There's a subscribe button below this video. Please click on that subscribe button. It will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon, select all notifications to get notifications regarding all my upcoming and future videos. So let me give you 5 seconds. Please go ahead and subscribe. So guys, I hope you must have a subscribe by now. So let's proceed ahead. There are some points to remember while watching this video. Please watch this video till the end to gain better clarity of the concept. And if it's possible for you, please watch this video twice or as many times as you like until the concept gets clear to you. Perform any exercises in your test and lab environments only. Do not touch any production environment or production databases. And we would like to know your thoughts regarding our video. So do post in your comments, guys, and do post in your feedbacks and suggestions as well. For the improvement of this course. Now let's come back to today's topic, which is integration services ETL project tutorial. So today we will discuss on the deployment of packages with SSIS. So guys, if you haven't watched the previous 9 parts of this video, I would highly recommend you to please watch the previous 9 parts before you can directly start with the part 10 of this video series, which is this part. Now let's proceed ahead and talk on the deployment of packages with the SSIS. So if we talk about the integration services, it includes various tools that makes it easier to deploy packages on any of the other computers. And if we talk about these deployment tools, they also manage any dependencies such as configurations and files that a particular package needs. Now we will learn on how to use these tools to install packages and their associated dependencies on the target computer. And first of all, we will perform the task to prepare for the deployment. We will go through that. And then we will create a new integration services project in SQL Server Data Tools, which is integration services. So we will create a brand new integration services project in SQL Server Data Tools. And we will add any existing packages that we had created in previous parts. And we will also add some data files to a project as well. And we will not create any new packages from scratch, but instead we will just work with the completed packages that were completed in earlier parts of this video that were just created for this tutorial. So we will not create a brand new package, but instead we will use the existing package for this tutorial. Now we will not modify the functionality of the packages in this tutorial. However, after adding the packages to the project, we might find it useful to open the packages in SSIS Designer to review the contents of each package. However, we will not modify the contents of any existing package. And by examining the packages in SSIS Designer view, we will learn about the package dependencies such as the log files and about other interesting features of the packages. Now we will also update the packages to use the configurations. Configurations make the properties of packages object dateable at runtime. So via the configuration, we can update certain properties of a package at runtime. So we will try to use the configurations for these packages. And we will use the configurations to update the connection strings of the log and the text files and the location of the XML and XST files that the package uses. If you're not sure about what our XML and XST files are, you can watch out my previous videos that I had created under the playlist SQL Server Integration Services. So there you can find a video on what are the XML and XST files. So basically we will use the configurations to update any connection strings of logs and text files, and basically we will also use the configurations to update the location of the XML and XST files that the package will use. Now after verifying that the packages have successfully run in the SQL Server Data Tools, so after the verification of packages, we will create a deployment bundle to use, which can be used to install the packages. Now if we talk about this deployment bundle, it consists of the package files, and it also consists of any other items that we add to the integration services project. It also includes any package dependencies that integration services automatically include. and the deployment utility that you will build. Now we will copy this after the creation of this deployment bundle. What we will do, we will copy this deployment bundle to the target computer. In this case, we will use the same computer. We are running two instances of SQL Server 2022. So we will use the same computer, but yeah, in case you are using separate computer, this concept will also work. But yeah, in this system, we are using two instances of SQL Server. So we will use the same computer to create a deployment bundle on one instance, and we will try to deploy that deployment bundle on the other instance. So we will copy the deployment bundle to the target computer and run the package installation wizard to install the packages and the associated dependencies. Now these packages will be installed in the MSDB SQL Server database. So once we install the package, this will get installed in the MSDB SQL Server database, and the supporting and the ancillary files will be installed in the file system. Because the deployed packages use the configurations, we will update the configurations to use the new values that enable the packages to run successfully in the new environment. So we will make certain changes to configuration so that your new package on the target instance will should run fine. Now finally, we will run the packages in the SQL Server Management Studio by using the execute package utility. And if we talk about the goal of this tutorial, it is basically to simulate the complexity of real-time deployment issues that you may encounter. However, it is not possible for you to deploy the packages to a different computer. You can still do this tutorial by installing the packages in the MSDB database. So in case you don't have a separate computer, what you can do, you can still mimic that by installing the packages in the MSDB database on the local instance of SQL Server. But yeah, in this case, we are using two instances, so that is not required. Although we are using just one computer running two instances. Now, after installing the packages in the MSDB database on the local instance of SQL Server, then we can run the packages from the SQL Server Management Studio. Now, we talk about the best way to become acquainted with the new tools and controls and features available in the Microsoft SQL Server integration services is basically to use them. And if we talk about this tutorial, it will walk you through the steps to create an integration services project that add the packages and other necessary files to the project. And after your project is complete, you will create a deployment bundle, and we will copy the bundle to the destination computer, and then we will install the packages on the destination computer. Now let's talk about the prerequisites. Now, if we talk about prerequisites, this tutorial is intended for any users who are already familiar with the fundamental file system operations, but who have limited exposure to the new features available in SQL Server integration services. And to basically better understand the integration services concepts that you will put to use in this tutorial, you might find it useful to first complete one of the integration services tutorial, like how to create an ETL package. So yeah, you should complete the previous first 9 parts of this video series before you proceed ahead. So that's the prerequisites. Now let's talk about the source computer requirements and the target computer requirements. Though in this tutorial we will be using the same computer running the two instances. So if we talk about the source computer, the components we need a SQL Server. Maybe you can use the free evaluation or developer edition. So in our case, we are using two instances of the developer edition. We need the sample data, we need the completed packages, we need the configurations and the README, and we need AdventureWorks 2022 sample database. So if we go inside SQL Server, this is our default instance of SQL Server. It has AdventureWorks 2022 database. So this requirement is fulfilled. If you don't have this database, you can install it from the Microsoft website. Download and install it on your SQL Server instance. I have videos related to that. You may follow up those videos. Now we need a permission to create and drop tables in this database. So make sure your account has associated required permissions. We need SQL Server data tools on this instance that we have already installed in this computer. If you want to know how to install the SQL Server data tools on the system, you can follow one of my earlier videos under the integration services series. Now let's talk about the destination computer. So if we talk about the destination computer, what are the requirements there? We need a free evaluation or developer edition of SQL Server on the destination computer. We need a sample data, completed packages, configurations, and a README. We need AdventureWorks 2022 database. So if we talk about the target instance over here, we don't have the AdventureWorks 2022 database. So either we will download and install the AdventureWorks 2022 database over here, or simply what we can do, we can install it under the MSDB databases. That can also be done. So we will see what has to be done. We'll show you shortly. And this is the prerequisites on our destination computer. We should have AdventureWorks 2022 database on the target computer. We should have SQL Server Management Studio that we have. We should have integration services installed on this system that we already have as well. And another item that is required, let me write that down. And we need basically the permission to create and drop tables in the AdventureWorks or any other database. Maybe MSDB if you are installing the package under MSDB. We will install it under MSDB for this tutorial instead of using the AdventureWorks 2022 database. Alright, so but yeah, we should have permissions to create and drop tables in the AdventureWorks 2022 or any other database. In this case, we should have permissions under the MSDB database. And in addition, we also need permissions. And basically, we need to run the SSIS packages. We need permissions to run SSIS packages in SQL Server Management Studio. So this permission is required. All right. So these two permissions are required. Permissions to create and drop tables in AdventureWorks 2022 database or any other database where we are installing the packages. And we need permissions to run the SQL Server Integration Services packages. Now, next thing that is required is we should have read and write permissions on the SIS SSIS packages table in the MSDB SQL Server system database. So this permission is required. We need read and write permissions on the SIS SSIS packages table in the MSDB SQL Server system database. Now, if you're planning to deploy the packages to the same computer as the one on which you create the deployment bundle, that computer must meet the requirement for both the source and the destination computer. This is what we will do in this particular tutorial. We will use the same computer where we will create and deploy the bundle. And we have talked about the requirements on the source and destination computer. So in case you are using just one computer, your computer should meet both the requirements under the source and the destination computer requirement. So basically we should meet both the source computer requirements and the destination computer requirements on this system itself. Let's discuss on what we will cover in this. There will be certain steps, so let me mention those steps, what we will do. So we will do step 1, and the step 1 would be we will prepare to create the deployment bundle. So first we will do the preparations to create the deployment bundle, and in step 2 we will create the deployment bundle in SSIS. This will be step 2. And if we talk about step 3, in step 3 we will install the SSIS packages. If we talk about step 4, so yeah, step 3 would be the last step. So we'll take you through these 3 steps. So in first step, we will prepare to create the deployment bundle. And in this step, basically, we will get ready to deploy an ETL solution by creating a new integration services project. And we will add the packages and other required files to the project. And under the step 2, which mentions about creating the deployment bundle in SSIS, in this step, what we will do, we will build a deployment utility and verify that the deployment bundle includes the necessary files. And ultimately, in step 3, what we will do, we will install the SSIS package. What we will do, we will copy the deployment bundle to the target computer, and we will install the packages and then run the packages as well. Now, let's first proceed with how you can create the how you can prepare to create the deployment bundle on the source system. Now in this step, what we'll do, we will create the working folders and environment variables. So let me mention that under the step 1. So let me copy this and mention the steps under. So what we will do, we will create the working folders and environment variables that will support the tutorial. We will also create an integration services project. That will be our next step. And we will add several packages as well, and their associated supporting files as well. We will add that too, and we will add these files to the project, and we will also implement the configurations in packages. So we'll show you that. Now, if we talk about integration services, it deploys the packages on a project basis. Therefore, as the first step in creating the deployment bundle, we must collect all the packages and packages dependencies into one integration services project. So basically, if we talk about the integration services, then integration services basically deploys packages on the project basis. So our first step would be to create the deployment bundle. We will create the, so next step would be we will create the deployment bundle. So as a first step in creating the deployment bundle, we must collect. So to create a deployment bundle, we must collect all the packages and package dependencies into one integration services project. So all items should be collected at one place, all the packages and all the package dependencies under the one integration services project. And frequently it is useful to include all other information with the deployed packages. So any other information should also be included with the deployed packages. And if we take an example, we will also add to the project a readme file. So we will also add to the project a readme file that basically provides basic documentation for this group of packages. So that should be the file you should include in the deployment bundle as well, so that users must be aware. So that users must be aware of what each of the packages is doing in this deployment bundle. You should include a README file that contains all this information. And once you add the packages and files, once you add the packages and the associated files, we will add configurations to packages that do not already use the configurations during package deployment to basically support the packages in the deployed to environment. All right, so we will add some configurations as well to the packages that do not already have some configurations. And we will perform these configurations during the package deployment phase. And this is basically done to support the packages in the deployed to environment or the target system or the target environment, we can say. And once we have added the configurations, once the configuration is added, right, what we will do, we will open the packages in SSIS designer, which is basically the integration services graphical tool for building the SSIS or ETL packages, you can say. So in the SSIS designer is basically the integration services graphical tool for building the ETL packages. And we can also use this tool to examine the properties of packages, and we can check the package elements as well as the package configurations as well in the SSIS designer. And basically we do this to better understand the issues that the deployment needs to address. And if we take an example, one of the packages extract data from the text files. So the location of the data files must be updated. before the deployed packages can run successfully. So that is an example why we do need to change the configurations. If we talk about the estimated time to complete this four steps, step 1, 2, 3, uh, we have talked about all these three steps all together. So this is what all things we will do. And in order to complete these steps, the total amount of time that is required would be estimated to be 1 hour. So let's proceed ahead. So let's talk about the steps in detail. Now there will be a series of steps we will be performing. So step 1 would be creating working folders and environment variables. This is the first step we will do. Step 2 would be to create the deployment project. Step 3 will be we will add the packages and the other files we will add. Step 4 would be to add the package configurations. Step 5 would be to test the updated packages. So these will be some of the steps that we will cover. So let's concentrate on step 1, which is to create the working folders and the environment variables. Now in this task, what we'll do, we will create a working folder. So let's create a working folder, and the folder name should be let's create it on the C drive and name it deployment tutorial. So let's quickly go to C drive and create a new folder. The folder name will be deployment tutorial is the folder name. And we will also add the system environment variables. The system environment variable name will be data transfer and load XML data that we will use in the later tasks. So far for now, we have created the folder name deployment tutorial. Now guys, we have created a working folder which is deployment tutorial on the root of C drive, and in case you want to use a different drive or different location, you can do that. So you can use a folder with a different name as well, or maybe you can use a separate drive as well, but do remember what folder you have created and what drive you are using. So if you are using any other location, you need to note down this location and then use it wherever this tutorial refers to a location of the deployment tutorial working folders. So wherever we will be using this folder, you can use your own folder name. Otherwise, you can use the same, if you have C drive availability, you can simply create a deployment tutorial folder on the C drive. In case you do not have availability, you can create it on the other drive, and you can use the different tutorial folder name as well. Now, in the later steps, if we'll talk about, we will deploy the packages that are saved to the file system to the SSIS sys packages table in the MSDB SQL Server database. So whatever deployment packages that we will create in the file system, so whatever packages are saved in the file system, we will deploy that packages inside the sys SSIS packages table in the MSDB SQL Server database. Ideally, we will deploy the integration services packages to a different computer, and in case it is not possible, like in our case, so it is not possible in our case, we don't have a separate computer, we only have a single computer. We can still learn a lot from doing this tutorial by deploying the packages to an instance of SQL Server that is running on a local computer. So in our case, we will use a separate instance. We are running two instances of SQL Server. This is the default instance. This is a named instance, SQL 2022 instance 2. This is our second instance. So we will create a deployment bundle via this instance, and we will try to deploy that bundle in the second instance. All right, so let's go back to notes. Now, if we talk about the environment variables that are used on the local and the destination computers, should have the same variable names, but they can have different values stored in the variables. For example, if we talk about one of the variables data transfer on the local computer, the value of the environment variable data transfer will reference the C drive deployment tutorial folder, Whereas on the target computer, the environment variable data transfer references the deployment tutorial install folder. So in our case, the target and the source computer are same. So let me create one more folder, and this folder name will be deployment tutorial install. So we will be using one of the variables, which is data transfer, which will use this folder on the source system and this folder on the destination system. All right. And if we plan to deploy on the local computer, we need to create only one set of environment variables. So here we will be using only here we will be using a local computer. So one set of variable is required. So source and destination variables are not required. So one set of variable is required. However, we will need to update the value of the environment variable to the appropriate value before you do the local deployments. All right. Now, if you plan to deploy the packages to a different computer, which is not in our case, we must create two set of environment variables. One set for the local computer and one set for the destination computer. This is not applicable in our case. So we should only use one set of environment variables. And we can create only the variables for the source computer now and create the variables for the destination computer later. But in our case, the source and destination computer is same, so we need to create the environment variables only one time. But you must have both the folder and environment variables available on the destination computer before you can install the packages on that particular computer. In our case, we will be using only one computer. Now, we have already shown you how to create the local working folder. So we went to the C drive. We have used this create new folder button to create a new folder. Otherwise, you can right click and also create a new folder over here. So your folder name should be deployment tutorial. All right. So this part is done. And let's now create the local environment variables. All right. So in order to create the local environment variables, we need to go to the control panel. So on the search bar, you can type control panel. It will show you the control panel item. Click on that. It will open up control panel for you. In the control panel, you need to double click on the system. So here the items are showing by the category. Let's try to see if we have any other view available. So we have a small icon view available. Otherwise, there is a categorized view as well. So let's go to small icon view. So we need to go to systems option inside the control panel. Please click this system option. And once you click the system options, you will get this dialog box. Now we need to check the system properties. We did not get the system properties dialog box here. Let's see how we can access the system properties dialog box. So here you will find the option advanced system settings. You can click on that. This will give you the system properties dialog box. In this dialog box, you need to go to the advanced tab and then click on the environment variables at the bottom here. Click on that environment variables tab. Now in the environment variable dialog box, in the system variables frame, so the system variable frames is coming at the bottom of this box. And this system variable frame, click on the new button. So it will open up a new system variable dialog box. Now in this box, type data transfer in the variable name. So let's use this variable data transfer will be the variable name. And let's point this variable to a particular location so let's use this location deployment tutorial. Copy this location out. All right. And this variable will refer to a particular file, which will be data transfer config dot dts config. This file is not created yet, but yeah, this this variable will refer to this particular location and this particular file, data transfer config dot dts config. And after you create this variable name, let's click on OK. So this variable is created now. We have already clicked on OK. So one variable is created. Let's create another variable by using the new option. So click on the new option and it will give you a new system variable dialog box. We need to create another variable. And this variable name is load XML data. Let me type that again. Load XML data will be the variable name. and this will point to a different configuration file. So under this folder, we will have a file load XML data config, load XML data config dot DDS config will be the file this variable will be pointing to. So after giving the name of the file, load XML data config dot DDS config in the variable value box, click on the OK button and click on OK again. To now we can see these two variables are there, data transfer and load XML data. Now we can click on the OK button to exit the environment variables dialog box, and we can also click on OK button to exit the system properties dialog box. And as an option, you can restart your computer as well at this point. And if you do not restart the computer, the name of the new variable will not be displayed in the package configuration wizard, but still you can use it. However, in the package configuration wizard that we will start soon, it will not show you the name of the variable, but you can use that variable name even though it will not auto-populate. Alright, so we are not starting our computer because that will stop the recording. So let's go back. So we have created the working folders and the environment variables. And in our case, we don't need to create the destination environment variables because our source and destination is same. Otherwise, the procedure is same. But the only thing is that instead of using the deployment tutorial folder, we will use the deployment tutorial install folder if we, in case you are using the other computer. All right. But yeah, in our case, we will not be using this folder at all because we are using just a single computer. All right. So we have defined the step one, which is we have created the working folder and the environment variables. So this is done. Now let's move on to step two, which is to create the deployment project. Let's work on this. Now, if we talk about the integration services, the deployable unit is an integration services project. So it is the integration services project that we deploy. And before we can deploy the packages, we must create a new integration services project and add all the packages and all the any ancillary files that you want to deploy with the packages to the project. So now what we will do, we will create a deployment project. Now, in order to create the integration services project, we need to click on the start button and point to all programs, and we need to check Microsoft SQL Server. So let's see where it is. So we have Microsoft SQL Server over here. Under that, we need to find out the SQL Server data tools. Let's see where they are. Let's type that over here, what we are searching for, SQL Server data tools. We do not have such item available over here directly with the name SQL Server data tools. So what we need to do is we need to open up Visual Studio. So we have Visual Studio 2022 installed on this system. So let's open up that. So once you open the Visual Studio, we need to select the option SQL Server data tools inside the Visual Studio. Okay, we are inside the SQL Server, we are inside the Visual Studio 2022 environment. So we need to create a new project, right? So click over here, click on create new project. Here it will load all the required templates. So we need to select the integration services projects in the template pane. Let's wait for the templates to load. So do we see the integration services? I think we can search for the templates as well. So let's select the integration services project. So the item is coming on the left hand side as well once you type that over here. So click on the integration services project, click this item, integration services project in the templates pane, and click on the next option. All right, now in the name box, which basically indicates the project name, change the default name to deployment tutorial. So let's name it as deployment tutorial. This is the project name. So after mentioning the deployment tutorial as the name of the project, so far what we have done is we have changed the name of the project here. Optionally, what we can do is we can clear the create directory for solution checkbox. We can uncheck this checkbox, and we have accepted the default location, or otherwise we can browse to place the project under a specific location. So here a solution will be created deployment tutorial. If you check this checkbox, both the solution and the project in the will be created in the same directory. So let's keep that checked. So that is fine. Now let's accept the default location. We do not want to change the location. Now in the project location dialog box, click the folder. It is already selected over here. Now, so let's do create. Let's try to use that folder that we had created on the seed drive. I think that should be the one that should be used. So deployment tutorial is the folder. So let's use this folder for this project, deployment tutorial, and let's click on the create button. And if we talk by default, an empty package name package.dtsx gets created and added to your project. So if we see here, we have a package name package.dtsx. It is added by default, and if we check this folder, we will see some files. Deployment tutorial folder is created under deployment tutorial, and we have these files created, right? And this is the package.dtsx file that is created and added to the project. However, we will not use this package. Instead, what we will do, we will add existing packages to the project. So we will not use this package.dtsx, but what we will do, we will add the existing packages to a project, because all the packages in our project will be included in the deployment. And you should delete the package.dtsx. To delete it, you can right click over here, and there should be an option to delete it. So select the delete option to delete the package.dtsx. So we have deleted that package. When we see the associated file is also deleted from the folder as well. Now let's move on to next task, which is basically we are done with the creation of deployment project. Now what we'll do, we will add packages and other files that were already created. All right. In this particular task, we will add the existing packages, any ancillary files that support individual packages, and also we'll add the README file to the deployment tutorial project that we have created in the previous task. For example, we will add an XML data file that contains the data for the package, and a text file that provides README information about all the packages in the project. So two files will be added, an XML data file, which will basically contain the data for the package, and the text file will be added as well that will provide the README information about all the packages in the project. Now, when you deploy the packages to a test or production environment, you typically do not include the data files in the deployment. Alright, so if the packages are required to be installed on the test or any production environment, we do not include any data files in the deployment. But instead, what we will use, we will just use the configurations to update the path of the data sources to access test or production versions of the data files or databases. And for instructional purposes, the tutorial includes data files in the package deployment. So we will see how to include them. And the packages and the sample data that this package will use are installed when we earlier installed the SQL Server samples. So data should be here somewhere. Guys, we are not able to locate the sample data file. So let me show you how you can again download those sample data files, which are also SQL Server Integration Services tutorial files. So let's open up Chrome, and you need to go to the following URL. Type HTTPS, then type www.microsoft.com, put a slash, use English US, and then type download, then type details.aspx page, and put the ID, the document ID number is 56827. So let's open up this URL. It will take you to a page to download the SQL Server Integration Services tutorial file. So let's download these files. We need the files which are under the deployment packages folder. So basically there are two files which are required, two packages that are actually required. So we will need the data transfer package and the load XML data package that will come under the deployment packages.zip file. So let's download it quickly. So this was already downloaded earlier. So let me open that up, and let's copy the deploying packages out to the C drive. So paste it here. So under that, we have under the completed packages, you will find the data transfer DDSX and the load XML data.dtsx package. We will use them. So let's minimize this. So let's go to the project now. So we will use the data transfer package, which is a basic package that extracts data from a flat file, evaluates column value to conditionally keep rows in a data set, and then loads the data into a table in the AdventureWorks database. So let's use that particular package. And the second package is load XML data, which is this one. And this one is basically a data transfer package that extracts data from an XML data file, evaluates and aggregates column values, and loads the data into a table under the AdventureWorks database. And basically to support the deployment of these packages, you will need the following. We need the ancillary files as well. We need to add the files to the deployment tutorial project. So there will be 2 and 3 files. Let's see if we have those files. So we need this file, new customer.txt, and we need these two files, order.xst and order.xml. All right, so we need all these 3 files along with these completed packages. Okay, so we will also add a readme file, which is a text file that provides information about the deployment tutorial project. So we have a readme file over here, which contains information about the deployment tutorial project. We will add that to the project as well. Now the paths used in the following whatever procedure we are telling you, assume that the Microsoft SQL Server samples were installed in the default location. So ideally, I think the earliest samples were installed in the location C program files. Let's check Microsoft SQL Server. This is the default instance of SQL Server. Under that, we have folder 120, I think. We don't have folder 120, right? Let's see, we have any currency star.txt files over here inside this folder. Yeah, we have that. So if we go to the location, here we have just these files, which is under the folder sample data. And the packages are in there under the completed packages. So the second file is not there. So what we can do here is we can cut and paste it over here. The deploying packages folder, we can cut it here and paste it here. So we have the completed packages and the sample data. Otherwise, we can use the other location as well. So let's keep it here for the time being. All right, let's see. In case we have installed the samples to a different location, we should use that location in the upcoming procedure. So let's keep it somewhere outside. So let's keep it on the C drive. We will use it from there. So all the required packages and the files are in there and under the deploying packages folder. So we'll use this location. Now in the next task, what we'll do, we will add the configurations to the data transfer and load XML data packages. Right. And configurations are stored in the XML files, and we will use the system environment variables to specify the location of the files. And after we create the configuration files, we will add them to the project. All right. So let's come back to the notes. Now to add the packages to the deployment tutorial project, we need to open the SQL Server Data Tools, and the project is already opened, right? Project name is deployment tutorial.sln is the extension for this project. In the Solution Explorer window, which is this window, what you need to do is you need to right click the deployment tutorial option, and there's an option to add. So click on add, and under add, add an existing package. So click on existing package. In the add copy of existing package dialog box, in the package location, select file system. Okay, file system is already selected over there. Now we need to click on the ellipsis button. Where are the ellipsis button? So this is the ellipsis button. Now we need to locate the package which is data transfer.dtsx. So it's on the C drive. We have copied, we have saved the files to deploying packages folder. Under that we have completed packages. Under that we have data transfer DDSX. Let's use this package. Let's open it and then click on the OK button. So this package gets loaded. So it is showing us the message succeeded in upgrading the package. All right. So the package is there, data transfer.dtsx. Now we need to repeat these steps for adding the other package, which is load xml data.dtsx. So similarly, right click on the deployment tutorial, go to add, go to existing package and click on the ellipsis button and select the second package, load xml data.dtsx, and click on open and click OK. The second package will also get added here. Now we have two packages in this project. Now in order to add the ancillary files and the associated files to the deployment tutorial project, now we need to add them to the Solution Explorer. We need to right click on the deployment tutorial option and select the add option, and we need to use the existing item. Now in the add existing item deployment tutorial dialog box, navigate to the files. The files are under this folder, deploying packages. Under the sample data we have these files. Now we need to select all these three files because we are adding all three of them. New customers.txt, order.xml and order.xst. Add these files by clicking on the add button. So far we have added three files, right? Now similarly we need to add some more existing items. So do add existing items, and we need to go to allocation, deploying packages. Now we need to add the readme file as well. So select readme and click on the add button. So we have selected readme text. We have a HTML version of this file as well, but for now we are selecting the readme.txt. So select that. This file is also added over here to the project. On the file menu, we need to click on save all to save the project. So we have a save all option. Click on save all. Now the project is saved. Now let's move on to next task. The step 3 is done. We have added the packages and the other required file as well. Now let's go to step 4, which is how you can add the package configurations. Let me show that to you. Let's keep this step 4 for the upcoming video, which will be part 11 of this video series. For now, we have covered till here. We have covered these 3 steps where we have created a working folder and some environment variables. We have created a deployment project. We have added some existing packages and other files to a project. In our next video, we will cover the step 4 where we will add certain package configurations. For now, we are stopping this. And I hope you like this video. And this is the part 10 of this video series, the Integration Services ETL project tutorial. And I hope you like this video. If you really like this video, please click on the like button below this video. And also, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. There's a subscribe button below this video. Click on that subscribe button. It will give you a bell icon. Click on that bell icon, select all notifications to get notifications regarding my future and upcoming videos. And you may also get notifications regarding the integration services project. We will soon cover the part 11 of this video series. So stay in tune, stay subscribed so that you can get timely notifications. Also guys, do post in your comments, feedback and suggestions. We eagerly wait for your comments and would love to read the same. So thank you so much for your time on this tutorial today, and you have a wonderful day ahead guys. Thank you.